The Feel Good Drive with Nicole De Silva.
Do you know that homes in Nigeria get built with generators? They're not even trying to be fighting with their provider.
Every house there that they had literally had a generator. You could literally hear the generator on the show.
Oh no.
Just running and running and running
Yeah.
and running while they're actually having a conversation.
Monday to Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. only on 919. We all love a good story. Stories of love and life. Stories that entertain and inspire. And the best stories are the ones that happen to be true. Every Friday night, Jack Devnarain is live in conversation with an iconic South African personality who shares the true stories that shape their remarkable lives. Join us for reality radio as real as it gets. From 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. every Friday night, only on 919.
Hey everyone, happy Friday. You're listening to 919. My name is Jack Devnarain and this is Reality Radio. It's as real as it gets every Friday night from 6 to 7 p.m. where we have a guest live in studio talking about the incredible stories that shaped their remarkable lives. Tonight, what a pleasure to have in studio with me Big Steve Malulu. This man is a strength, fitness, health and wellness coach, the author of Athlete of Life, The System of Achieving Your Full Potential. It's incredible to have you here. And you have a companion, your faithful companion, Saddam.
No, thanks for having me on the show. And Saddam is here to watch over us.
I love that. That's beautiful. We haven't had a pet in studio before, but I'm getting that Saddam is more than just a pet to you, right?
I mean, that's why they say a dog is a man's best friend.
Yeah.
He's a guy that he sees me for who I'm not all the time. So I'm going to have to behave when I'm around him.
Yes, you actually have to try to live up to the person that Saddam loves so much.
That's it. That is totally by being with him raises my consciousness.
Yeah.
Because he's the most forgiving being I've ever been, irrespective of how bad things are, either between us or whatever I'm going through in life. Just looking at you automatically forces you to realize and bring you to live in the moment.
I would love to explore more about how you found Saddam. I'm sure that's a story on its own.
100%, yeah.
Let's.
Saddam is a rescue.
He's a rescue, hey?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And do you know something about his background?
Yeah. He comes from a very abused background. It took me some time for me to earn his trust.
Okay.
But he's got only one kind of trust, total. Yeah.
That's incredible. It's so amazing to have him in studio as well. I do admit that I'm a little bit nervous also, because you can see that this is a very big and very muscly beast, besides you, of course. Which takes me to another question. Why do they call you Big Steve?
I don't know, but maybe I think because I'm fond of wearing smaller T-shirts.
Do you like wearing T-shirts with muscles in them?
I would like wearing my son's T-shirt. They make me look big. Life is an illusion. You gotta have to live it, right?
It makes you a very popular guy at the clubs, right?
Yeah.
I know about illusions. In fact, I was just was sharing with you earlier that my mum celebrated her 80th birthday yesterday, and my mum's name is Maya, and in Hindi the name Maya means illusion. So we were talking about that and having fun with her, talking about the illusion of age. And I'm very glad to say that she has embraced her age, but more than her age, she has embraced the life that she has lived, which has inspired all her children and her grandchildren.
Happy birthday, Mama.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. Talk to me about Athlete of Life. Where did that start?
I think the long and the short of it, I'm going to have to just say a little bit about myself.
Please, yeah.
I was born in Kenya 56 years ago in a small little village with a father that only read one chapter in the Bible, do multiply. So I come from a very big family, a father of 4 wives and 60 siblings.
That's massive.
Yeah, so it's a big family. And then being in the village automatically, we didn't really, we don't have names like cousins. Everybody's a brother or sister.
Yeah.
So I come from a very, very large family. And traditionally, your future is destined. You get born on the farm, you're a boy, your job is to work on the farm. And at the age of 16, I realized this is not the kind of future that I want for myself. So I left the village. I came into the city and I started fending for myself. A few years later, for search of better life, that's how I decided to end up in South Africa.
What was it that attracted you to South Africa?
I've always been one of those people that wants, there has to be something better than where I am. There's, I think it's a blessing and a curse. I've always been the kind of a child that always kept on asking why. And I think my parents got very fed up with that. Traditionally, if you give me the reason why, I'll do it.
Okay.
But if you don't give me the why, I won't. So when you tell me you're a boy, you have to work on the farm, why? Doesn't really make sense at all. And constantly, that's a question I try to answer with my life. Wherever I am, whatever I do, the people I deal with, if it does not answer why, it means I have to move forward until I find a solution. So coming into Nairobi, the main city, the only job I could do, because I don't have the kind of qualification to survive in the city, was to use what I had, which is I was strong from working on the farm. My currency into the economy was physical labor.
Okay.
And when I got into the city, the first job I did was at the Kenyan Cereal Board.
Oh. And what age were you at that time?
I must have been 17.
Okay.
Yeah. But I looked around me and I saw all these old people, you know. And I remember talking to one old guy and asking him, how long have you been here? And he told me, I've been working here for 40 years. And this guy was all stooped and broken. And I had a flash of my future. I saw myself. And you know what? I took off the overall and I left. Because
Did it scare you, just the thought of you being there 40 years later?
I knew that wasn't the kind of life I want for myself. I'm not going to become him. Because the people around you remind you of, I mean, your future is defined by the people around you and the books you read. And those were the people that I was going to hang out with at that age. And he said something very profound. He said, you remind me of me. I came here at your age. And I knew that's not going to happen.
I noticed Saddam was growling at somebody who was approaching the door. I think the guy might be working here, but I'm not sure. But I don't think he's going to be working here for the next half an hour or so. This is the perfect way to start the story. And Steve, I just have to say that you paint a beautiful picture. I'd love to go back into that story about you working at the cereal plant and exploring the characters who are there. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back. We're going to look at that, and also we're going to go into Athlete of Life. We're in conversation with Big Steve Malulu. This is Jack Devnarain with Reality Radio. We'll be back after this.
919 has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, programming that is not harmful to children and that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. If you think we're not living up to that code, you can inform the BCCSA. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa to PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. Or email the BCCSA at napsa.co.za. For more information, visit the bccsa.co.za. We all love a good story. Stories of love and life. Stories that entertain and inspire. And the best stories are the ones that happen to be true. Every Friday night, Jack Devnarain is live in conversation with an iconic South African personality who shares the true stories that shape their remarkable lives. Join us for Reality Radio, as real as it gets. From 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. every Friday night, only on 919.
It's Reality Radio on a Friday night in conversation with Big Steve Malulu and Saddam. Sitting very quietly for now. I know he's guarding our space. Steve, tell me about, I know you were looking at, as a young man, 17 years old, you're carrying this huge amount of enthusiasm and strength. You know you can pick up work right there. You're in the big city now of Nairobi. But you look around you and you find that there are people there who have literally spent their entire working lives doing one job. And that made you feel uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, you did.
Now, here's a tricky one, because I've been grappling with this in my mind for most of my working life as well. I realize that some people find comfort in routine, and some people actually find pleasure in going to work at the same time, doing the same job over and over again for 40 years. Do we want to mess with their chill?
I mean, to answer that, I would say, if you look at it, life has been rigged for us to stay where we are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look, and I will use a very easy example for us men, when we are in our early years, all the way into 30s, 40s, it's very easy for us to make a living. It's very easy for us to provide for our families. But then what happens after 40 going forward? If you look at most men 40 plus, look at them in their eyes, there's death. They've given up on their dreams, because society has made it much easier for us to be able to provide by being employed. So, and you'll find it's easier to be an earner than be an owner. But there is a price to pay for you going forward. Now, you realize when you are young, there's two things society tries to steal from you. One is energy. When you're young, you have that abundance of energy. You're jumping off the walls. And secondly is focus. So the two things they do to take that, they bring in distractions. And for boys, the most easiest distraction, of course, is sex. Yeah, either pornography or cheap pornographic literature. I mean, why is it so easy nowadays for boys to have access to free porn sites, but they can't have access to free reading online?
Sure.
So there's a reason why society works like that, because if you get lost in that world, the erotic world, it becomes very hard for you to focus on your goals. It becomes easier for you to fulfill your physical needs. It's easier for you live for the flesh. And that's what the society wants. But now the advantage for me living in the village, it was purely, if I look at somebody like my father's life, is they wake up in the morning. Since I was very young, we used to wake up at 4 in the morning, whether it's raining or not. And you go on the farm, you work, you come back around 5, you're tired, you eat, you go to bed.
Yeah.
There's no time to chase girls. Now, if looking at it like that, and I remember if they try to wake you up in the morning and you say you're sick, your dad will never doubt you. Hear him tell your mother, take off 1 cup, because sick people don't eat. So even if you're tired or if you're not dying, by 8 o'clock you're up, because then you're going to miss lunch. So, and that's indoctrinated in me. I'm always up at 4 in the morning. I have to work like that. But you find those kind of things, since I was that young, when I went into the city, it was very hard for the city to suck me into the glitzy life of women, of booze, and all those.
And all the distractions.
The distractions.
Right.
So when I saw that, when I walked into that place, straight away I knew this is not what I came, because this is exactly what I'm running away from.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do this. I didn't know what I'm going to do going forward, because I wasn't equipped for that world from an education point of view.
Yeah.
But I followed my intuition more. My intuition told me there has to be much more. There's a bigger world for you out there. And one person that constantly kept on indoctrinating that into me was my mother. She constantly used to tell me, you are born for greatness. There are big things. This is your world. Run this place.
Yeah.
And I heard that voice constantly in my head. And so walking away from that job, when I think of it now, I was stupid. I didn't know where I was going. But if I didn't take that turn, right now I'll be stuck there. And at the age of 55, you will be retired, and they get rid of you.
So you might have, if you didn't leave that day, you're saying that you probably would have stayed for the rest of your life.
There's no way. There's no coming out.
Yeah.
If you look and you talk to most people, there's no coming out. The corporate environment is a prison. It's a prison that you never come out, irrespective. And the best way to look at it, when you're driving to work in the morning, you see a lot of men walking towards. And the easiest one, I'm going to use Santon. If you're driving on Greystone Drive, you see a lot of men coming from Alex walking into Santon. Where are they going? They're going to work. Around 4 or 5, you see a lot of men coming out. Lunchtime, you see them walking. It's the same prison system, because before you get a job, you need to polish your CV. You need to go in front of a boss. You need to present yourself. There's no difference between that and what you do in jail, what you do in a court of law in front of a magistrate. He looks at you. He says, okay, I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to pay you this much. I'll only give you lunchtime, 15 minutes between this. You'll work maybe one Saturday a week. You have to be here at 8. You have to leave at 5. And if you're late, you have to call. And if you're late for 5 minutes, somebody's going to call and they have to explain. So there's no difference. We don't really relate to see how much of a prison most of us live in. And just thinking differently. If we change the way we think, it will entirely transform the whole world, because the corporate prison is the one that is put too much pressure on us as men. We're so rigid in that life, but they're just giving us enough to keep our head above water.
I like the idea, because I also have an apprehension when it comes to formal employment structures. I think about what the corporate world does, as you described very well. I'm just wondering, though, we've got to be careful not to blame the corporate world. The corporate world is simply ensuring that it moves at a certain pace as a machine in order to generate profit for its shareholders. I'm wondering whether we are correctly identifying that the real prison is the one that we have in our own minds, because we have become prisoners to certain conditioning, a certain kind of conditioning in the way that we think, conditioning in the way that we behave, and our repeated patterns over time. So we establish our own limitations, don't we?
We establish our own limitations because we buy into societal definition of success. We are all born to be successful, and I'm yet to meet anybody that tells me I'm going to do everything possible to fail.
Yeah, of course.
No, we all want to be successful. We all want to be happy. We all want to be rich. We all want to be healthy. But those things, you need to have a very strong feeling behind them by having a very strong, compelling why. Now, most of us, unfortunately, our definition of success is acquisition of external trappings of success. The car that you drive, where you stay, the label that you wear, whatever the things that we look at now. But if you chase it like that, and don't get me wrong, I'm not against material possession, because I don't think that you can become you can't have the full expression of life without money.
Sure.
Because everything that as long as you live in this physical form, this meat bag called the human body, you cannot unlock your potential unless you have access to money, and a lot of it. Yeah, you need a lot of money, but it should not be the end and means of everything that you do.
Right.
It's how you get there, and that's why it's very important. At this point, you find a lot of us men, and I'm going to use men a lot because I'm a man,
right,
and I spend a lot of time with men. If you come to the gym is a place where if a man 40 plus, for me at Dream Body Fitness, if he's coming to gym 2 hours a day and comes back in the evening, and I'll call him into the office and tell him, bro, what are you running away from? Because it's not normal.
Okay.
At my age, I don't have time to be investing more than 8% of my day in training.
Yeah.
I have to be running from something. And in most cases, we hide in these healthy places because we cannot be judged. Most men, we hide in the gym. Most women hide in church, in those places, because if you go to a strip club, if you go to gambling, or if you go to a pub, those things are frowned upon. So we feel safer. And it comes down to sitting down with these men and asking them, what is your definition of success? Draw me a picture of the future that you want, and let's try create it together. How will you know if you've arrived? how are you going to get
How do
there?
you measure that?
Yeah. Now, until we do that, because most of us now are buying into the societal definition, we have a societal scorecard where they tell us, okay, go to school, get good grades, get a good job, get married, have kids, retire. And most men, when we get to 40, all of a sudden, we tick all these boxes, we have all these things, but deep inside, we're empty. But now, when your friends look at you, Jack, they see you have all these external trappings of success. If you tell them I'm not feeling good, they tell you just be grateful. You're very ungrateful. Look at your life.
Yeah.
Look at you. But deep inside, something's telling you not. So most men take the societal definition of success. They climb the top ladder. When they get there, they realize, shoo, this ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. They realize, this is not my success. It's killing me. What is the cost? Because there is always a cost. What is the opportunity cost? The opportunity cost here is your happiness. Now, what do most of these men do? They jump from the top ladder. And how do they do that? They try to find happiness following the same strategy the society has given them. You can't. You have to create your own personal scorecard by first defining what success means to you. And when it comes to that, most of it are soft things that we as men haven't been taught how to express.
Yeah.
We don't know how to connect. You don't know how to tell another man, I'm not feeling well, you know.
Yeah.
We find
Because
shame.
there's shame in that, hey?
Yeah, there's shame. And we don't want to be associated with failure.
Yeah.
So it's very hard for you to tell somebody that, you know, I'm having problems with my wife. We're not talking, my kids. People will laugh at you. Because every man's biggest question is, what will others think of me?
Do you feel also, and I know gym is an environment that you and I are very familiar with. So when you get somebody into gym, and I know we haven't covered this for the sake of our viewers and listeners, you use gym as a methodology for helping people achieve their full potential. So how do you get somebody into that space by helping them to feel that they're not being judged? Because we do judge each other in gym, don't we?
But Dream Body Fitness is a very much non-judgmental environment. That's one thing. Okay. The culture there.
Yeah.
And I'll say more, it's not a bodybuilding gym. You know, bodies in gyms where people are so much invested in how they look, there's always also a lot of ego.
Right.
You know, Dream Body Fitness is a place where everybody, we focus more, and unlike these other institutions, we focus more on integrated wellness. If you look at our mantra, is we believe that you have to be physically energized, you have to be emotionally connected, you have to be mentally focused, and you have to be spiritually aligned to a cause bigger than self. Now, the minute you bring that and we use your body as the vehicle, now it changes. You'll never, everybody that, if I take you now and we go to the gym, everybody's working. Yeah. Whether this person hasn't worked as a beginner, whether this person has been lifting weights for the last 20 years, because they all have a very strong why. They're not there for superficial. So you have people with beautiful bodies, but you also have people that have beautiful bodies inside trying to bring it out through the environment. It's a very equally balanced environment.
And I think that's a wonderful place just to begin to describe a person's journey into fulfillment. As we go into a break now, I just wanted to reflect on a very famous quote by one of my favorite characters. This is Homer Simpson, who you remember from the series, you know, The Simpsons. And Homer Simpson always said something that I relate to very well. I'm only a fat man trapped inside an obese man's body. With that, we'll take a break. It's Reality Radio on a Friday night. We'll be back in a minute.
The Feel Good Drive with Nicole De Silva.
Do you know that homes in Nigeria get built with generators? They're not even trying to be fighting with their provider.
Every house there that they had literally had a generator. You could literally hear the generator on the show.
Oh no.
Just running and running and running and while they're actually having a conversation.
Monday to Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. only on 919. We all love a good story. Stories of love and life. Stories that entertain and inspire. And the best stories are the ones that happen to be true. Every Friday night, Jack Devnarain is live in conversation with an iconic South African personality who shares the true stories that shape their remarkable lives. Join us for Reality Radio, as real as it gets. From 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. every Friday night, only on 919.
And we're back. It's Reality Radio on a Friday night with me, Jack Devnarain. Join me every Friday night when we talk about the incredible stories that help to change people's lives. And we're really talking about change with Big Steve tonight. Helping people achieve their full potential is a lifetime's journey. And you have a very interesting approach because you want to help people engage with themselves and their body, of course. But it's not just about the body and the health and fitness goals. You get them into gym because that's the beginning of a process. Just describe that process for me.
Getting people into the gym, Jack, is the reason for that is you got to always reach people where they are.
Okay.
We live in a physical world, so people find it very hard to think of the invisible. It's very hard to talk to somebody about their soul or their spirit when all they see is their bodies. Now, bringing them into the gym space, you have to touch them. Somebody that has a physical pain, has got a knee problem, has got a back problem, they feel uncomfortable in their own skin when they go out, all those things are things they can relate to. Yeah. But very few of them realize that there is more to it than that. If you're not eating right, it's got very little to do with nutrition, because all this, the way you look, the way you feel is an effect. So Dream Body Fitness, we focus more on the cause. There has to be, if you're eating a lot of junk food, what is causing you there?
Yeah.
There's stress somewhere in your life. And unless we take that trigger, I can give you the best eating plan in the world. I can give you the best trainers in the world. But until I fix the wound, putting on the Band-Aid does not make it better.
Yeah.
And if you look at most gyms, now Dream Body Fitness, I always say it's a Disneyland for grown-ups. It's not a gym, because gym has a very negative connotation. People associate gym with pain. And if you look at all the marketing material across town, people get people into the gym from a vanity point of view. Now, I will get you in from a vanity point of view, physical, which you see, but I need to turn it into vitality. I need to
From vanity to vitality. Yeah.
Now, the difference there is most gyms sell people change. Dream Body Fitness is a transformation center.
Okay, I get you. Yeah.
Change is trying to go back to who you used to be. A woman that used to fit in a size 8 dress before she got her babies, and now she's in size 12. She wants to go back to 8. Chances are she'll never get back into an 8. So that's change. And change, in most cases, change is hard, and majority of people statistically fail.
Okay.
Dream Body Fitness is about transformation. We create a new you. We create a new you. So we start with the end in mind. This is where you are. This is where you want to go. And this is the blueprint of how we're going to get you. We're going to hold your hand. We are your partners in this journey. Transformation has 100% success rate and longevity because it's more inspiration. It's pulling people towards. Change is full of shame. Every time you look at your old pictures and you look at your gut hanging out, you've got stretch marks, we've lost hair as men, you feel depressed because you'll never look. It's an old face that you shouldn't live there. It served its purpose. Walk away and walk into your new face now.
So part of this partnership with your clients then involves working through the physical to get to see themselves in a different way, to involve the emotional as well.
Yeah.
How do you reach them at that level?
Through education. Through education, like anything else, if we look at it from a business point of view, you have a better chance of staying in business if you bulletproof the results for your customers.
Ah.
Yeah. So if my result for my customers, I can guarantee you that in 12 weeks or in 6 weeks, I'm going to drop 6 kilos. Now, this is somebody that has failed to drop 3 kilos in the last 10 years. I can guarantee them that, and I tell them very well, if I don't, I'll give you your money back.
Yeah.
Okay. I will.
That's quite a challenge.
Yeah, I will drop 12 kilos in 12 weeks, if not. And why do I guarantee that? Because I have so much faith in my system. I've done it so many times. We've taken over 10,000 people through that system, and it's worked.
Incredible.
Now, the beauty of a system is, a system simply means it's reputable, repeatable results, because you do things in a certain way. And if you do A, B, C, you will get D. And that's what we've done over time. So Dream Body Fitness is not a gym. It's a place where it's a system that we use to deliver results in a gym setting.
And that means people have to be able to identify their goals clearly, because, and I wonder if you might agree, that part of our difficulty in life is we seem to be heading in the general direction of there, but we haven't specifically identified those goals, because in identify them, you need to be able to identify the deficiencies in our own lives and to say, I want to achieve that. And in order to achieve that, I need this, this, and this. And I don't know whether we're seeing both sides of where we are now and where we want to be clearly enough. I don't think we've perhaps defined that clearly enough in order to realize that the completion of those goals.
I mean, Jack, you've summed that up. Anything in life, clarity is key. Most of us struggle or stumble from day to day because we have no clear picture of where you're going. Because clarity is simply vision. You know, you cannot be led by the things you see with your eyes. You know, seeing is the function of the eyes. The vision is the function of the heart, and that pulls you. We're talking about vision here. When you come to Dream Body Fitness, we draw a picture for you. We pull out we do the Wi-Fi scenario. We have to find out, why do you really want to lose weight? Why do you want to get in the best shape of your life? Most people don't ask themselves that question. You want to get into the best shape of your life because you want to wear a tight muscle top. What happens if it doesn't work? You will give up. But if there is more to that, because you married and you've got a young child, and all of a sudden you want to make sure that this child is there, you're there for that child, you want to walk your daughter down the aisle. Now, that's inspiration. It's no longer motivation. It will pull you forward. I don't have to call you to come in. If I tell you eat grass, you'll eat grass because you feel it. And the important thing is people have to feel their future, and most of us don't.
I think that's the difference between motivation and inspiration, because I think we've become quite good at marketing stuff. We've become really good at selling people little bumper stickers of inspiring ideas about why they should be better, how they can be better. But those things are never sustainable, because it's almost like a trick with words to try and impress people about, as we were talking, earlier, we were saying, people going to gym, you'd remember back in the 70s and 80s, people used to say, you can't make progress in gym without some pain, right? So they came up with no pain, no gain. And that's a typical kind of, clever play on words that's actually meaningless. It's actually nonsense. It's empty. The real work has to be done by people committing to themselves and looking at a realistic pathway to achieving those goals.
Totally. You see, one thing that is stealing people's success is social media.
Right.
Because research shows the more you talk about what you're going to do, you get a dopamine fix. So your motivation to do it gets less. And that's why you see constantly everybody saying how this is going to be my year this year on social, but the same person, the life, nothing changes.
Yes.
So we don't really believe, and we don't communicate with people enough that there's always a price to be paid. There's no free lunch. When you come and I sit with you and I tell you, this is what we're going to do in the next 12 weeks. I have to upfront let you know what it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
Not only money-wise. There's a lot of soft costs that people don't factor in. There's opportunity costs. You're going to go through pain. That you're going to have to commit. You're going to have to invest time. You're going to be persistent. You're going to have to be depressed at some point when we go through a week when nothing. I need you to know that those are things. We lie to people. We lie to people in the sense we don't tell people the truth. We tell people you can be anything that you want to be. You can't be everything you want to be. You can only be anything that you want to be if you invest it 100%. There's only one kind of commitment in this world if you want to be successful: total
commitment. Yes, that's like Saddam's trust level.
Yeah.
You touched on something that was quite important. We were talking about social media earlier, and we were saying that 50 years ago, in the working world, the problems that you faced were conflicts to do with your physical world, your state of health, your relationship with your supervisor, the boss. And with the rise of social media now, the digital world that we live in, where people are placing a showcase of their lives onto this digital platform where people can view it as almost like a tourist walking past all these different shop fronts. We've created a different kind of stress. And this is a stress that people can't see because it's to do with your mind and spirit, not so much in the body any longer. And yet, as a stress factor, it's no less real or debilitating.
Yep. Because the problem with social media is you are comparing somebody's Hollywood moment with your real life. That person, his wife is not that beautiful all the time. That person, the husband, is not jacked all the time like that. That's how do you even know that's their holiday home? How do you know they drive that Ferrari? And human mind, we like to compare. So if you see the guy you went to school with, he's got a beautiful wife, he lives a good life, and you start looking at your wife funny. What did I end up with here? And your wife starts doing the same thing. I mean,
yes.
What happened to me? Now, those things, unfortunately, you don't express them, but it changes your feelings towards that person. This is somebody that you married to, but all of a sudden you start comparing. And for us men, unfortunately, or fortunate enough, when you meet a woman, the very first time we talk too much. We talk too much in the sense, because that's how, what you're trying to do here is, they call it courtship.
Yes.
Courtship is simply trying to sell to a woman that your future is much brighter than her future. She must abandon her future and join you. She'll have a better life. That's why it's like presenting papers in court. That's why we call it courtship. But
it's very clever, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to sympathize with my wife when it comes to this, because fortunately I always told her that she has a brighter future than me, and I think time has proven us right. You have a future coming up as well. It's going to be happening, unfolding live in front of you within the next minute. You'll be back to Reality Radio just after the short break.
Have a groundbreaking tech startup or hackathon idea? Empire Partner Foundation's Incubation Hub is here to nurture your vision. Our Incubation Hub provides the perfect environment for startups and hackathons to grow, access resources, and make their mark in the tech world. Join us at EPF's Incubation Hub and turn your tech dream into reality. Visit our website for more information on how we can help your startup thrive at empirepartnerfoundation.org.
We all love a good story. Stories of love and life. Stories that entertain and inspire. And the best stories are the ones that happen to be true. Every Friday night, Jack Devnarain is live in conversation with an iconic South African personality who shares the true stories that shaped their remarkable lives. Join us for Reality Radio, as real as it gets. From 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. every Friday night, only on 919.
Big Steve and Saddam in studio tonight. It's all happening on 919. This is Reality Radio with me, Jack Devnarain. Tonight we're talking about achieving your full potential and the Athlete of Life program. I know you that in the course of the last 45 minutes that we've been talking, you do have a focus on men's health as well. And how did that come about, and why is it so important to you?
One, because I'm a man, Jack.
Fair enough.
I'm a man, and as you grow older, you realize that you go through different phases and different challenges. My challenges in my 20s were totally different in my 30s, in my 40s, in my 50s. And as I get into my 60s, my challenges are getting different. And one thing that most of us men lack now is if you're in your 40s, you need men in your 50s to hold your hand. You need men to tell you what you're going through, because it's totally different challenges. And you can't handle it with the same strategy you handled 10 years younger, which means every 10 years a man becomes a new person. You're growing into the new you. Now, if I look at most men around me, and if you look at depression around us is high. I know personally a lot of men that have committed suicide in the last 5 years. And every time I talk to the wives, they have no idea what happened. I remember I was talking to one woman at the gym, and she was telling me, I've been married to my husband here for 40 years. On our 40th anniversary, we went to Mauritius, and he hired the one and only with 20 of my friends, and we went there on holiday. He bought me 2 truckloads of red roses. And he bought me a ring for $500,000. But when we came back, he told me that he wants a divorce. So she was asking me, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And my answer to her was, what is it that you don't understand? She says, I don't understand. So I told her, you have to know that a man is the only creature that can still love you but be emotionally removed. You don't know the fact that he sleeps with you and you lie next to each other doesn't mean we live in totally 2 different worlds, and our struggles and a woman's struggle are different. I told her, do you know what are the 2 main driving forces for any man, whether he's 9 or 90? She says, I don't know. I told her, men, we live for 2 things. We live for performance and reward. That's what every man lives for. I need to perform and I need to be rewarded. That's what happens when we sex, we dance, we perform, the mother rewards us. We do all these things, but as we grow older, those things are taken away from us.
Yeah.
So we're performing, but nobody's rewarding us. We're performing, but all of a sudden, the man, you can see the man, but the boy in the man dies. And when the boy dies, the man dies with him.
That's such a powerful story, and it's so true. It's so true, and you're suggesting that we are not checking in with each other enough about this.
The problem with the society we live in now, men, we're not allowed to express any kind of disappointment or failure, and as men, we've not been taught how to communicate. So we feel shame in sharing with our friends what we're going through. And if you talk to any 20-year-old and ask them tell me some of your best friends, they'll name easy 20. Talk to any man 40 plus and ask him to name any 5 of his friends. He has none. Yeah, he has none. He'll start stammering, oh, my wife or people I work with. No, who are your band of brothers?
Yes.
So we live in a society where if you die now, if I die now, it's easy to find 6 men that are going to carry my casket. But I don't have 6 men I can talk to when I have problems.
You see, that puts a certain perspective on things as well. And do you also feel that often men are trapped by a certain sense of duty, that we have to live up to certain ideals that are ingrained in us through our upbringing? Does that become a limiting factor? Because to a certain extent you found strength and freedom in what you were taught by your father, right? At which point do the lessons of our parents start to imprison us?
Culture is not static. Culture is progressive. And the biggest problem is it's so hard to be who your father used to be in this new era. Adaptation is very hard because we as men are displaced. We come from an environment where you have to provide for your woman. But unfortunately, we live in a world where women earn more than we do.
Sure.
Women are more educated than we do. A woman can go and have kids without you. A woman can buy her own car. A woman, you live in your wife's house. So when she tells you to be a man, and our definition of manhood is the 3 P's: procreate, provide, and protect. And she's taken those away, or not her. Society's changed where she's doing that. Then who are you in that relationship?
Which means it's time for us to adapt our thinking, because if we're going to be married to those 3 P's, we are setting ourselves up for failure.
We don't have to adapt our thinking. We need to change our definition of manhood.
Right.
Our definition of manhood is a little bit misaligned because how do I become a man to a man that is better than me? If my wife has all those things, she's a better man than me because she's the provider, she's the protector, she's all those things. So how do I, and even God forbid, sometimes you find you married to a woman that has kids, and these kids can't even call you dad, they call you Jack. And if you try to discipline, they tell me, you're not my dad. Now you become more emasculated.
Right.
And an emasculated man is a dangerous man. You become a predator because a man, it's very hard for you to have purpose in life if you don't have an identity. And a man without purpose becomes a predator.
How do you help your clients achieve or find their purpose with clarity? Because obviously that's going to be one of the factors that's going to help to motivate and to inspire their journey. They need to be able to have a clear picture of the goal. So how do you help them identify that?
Jack, I mean, that's a long story. I know we don't have much time here, but the truth is anything that does not know its value abuses itself. First, the most important thing is for me to bring out your value. I need you to see there is nobody that is valueless. The fact that you're a human being, we might not have everything, but we all have something.
Yeah.
Now, rather than focusing on what Jack have, I'm not an actor. I'll never be an actor. Now, if I come here and I start focusing, I'm not good like him on stage, it would just depress me. What is the one thing that I have that I can use to bless the world? So my calling and every man's calling and everybody's calling here for me is one. First, you have to discover what your purpose is. Then you have to develop it. And then you have to deploy it into the world. And that's all you do. So mine is to help you discover what that purpose is. And purpose is very much linked to value. If you don't have value, people don't need you. It's only a woman that is born with value. Men, we have to build value for society. Otherwise, nobody needs you.
So I was just wondering, there is such a wonderful relationship between you and Saddam. How do you celebrate that friendship? Because I'm sure he would love for you to just give him a bit of a frisk there on the back of his neck. Wouldn't he love that?
Yeah, I mean,
and he expects you to be close to him, to feel that love.
Yeah, this guy. Saddam's biggest thing for me is we all need.
Look at this boy.
Yeah, we all need an anchor.
Yeah.
You know, without an anchor, we get lost. We got lost at sea. Saddam is an anchor, irrespective of how bad things are, irrespective of what I'm going through the day. Saddam is a constant source of strength, a constant source of connection, a constant source of love, and a constant source of care. It's constant. I can go to him and he can come to me 100%. So there is a lot of total loyalty and a lot of trust there.
Which is built over time as well.
Yeah.
And I suppose the one thing that the value of having pets also is that you have to demonstrate your love. You have to demonstrate your commitment, which you do. Every time you touch the dog, he knows that you're there. You're affirming the relationship. Yeah. And we've got to be doing that with each other as well.
That's it. We live in a society where men are very afraid to hug.
Yeah.
You know, I come from the village where as men we walk around holding hands.
Yeah.
Here, people are funny, you know, unless people are very close to you. If you look at the African greeting, traditionally, I won't just greet you from a distance. The first thing I'll always do, I'll extend my arm. I touch your hand like that. And then when I touch your hand, I'll take my other arm and I put it on your elbow. And the point of that is a closed circuit. I energize you, energize me back.
Yeah.
And the second thing, if you're close to me, I'll always pull you closer.
Yes.
So my left side goes into your left side, and that's our heart
Heart to
touching.
heart, yeah.
And then the third one, I'll always turn on the other side.
Okay.
And that's always to check, from a traditional point of view, to check if you've got any weapons on you, if you're going to attack me.
Yeah.
But after doing all those three things, but what is the most common way of greetings for most people is a fist bump.
Yes.
And psychologically, when you do this, you're telling me you're going to murder me. Yeah, we forget
Yes.
that my brain does not understand. So I'm around you, but I'm not comfortable because you've already shown me what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things among men that we think are macho, but they're breaking us down over time. We need to learn to express man-to-man love. As much as we need a woman's love, but a man's love is hard love that another man needs.
Yeah.
My father's way of loving me is not telling me. It's either looking at me and just shaking his head or just touching
That's
my
enough.
shoulder. That's enough.
Yes.
And every man wants, a father's touch is worth mother's 20 kisses.
That's such a powerful statement because you and I are about the same age, and our fathers are, and my father's late. He died at 79, about 10 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And he had the same love language.
Yeah.
It was, I look at you, I acknowledge you, and without using words, you know that he's showing his love and appreciation. It was just how, it was the way that they expressed their love then. And we, as you were saying, talking about adapting to times, we've got to be able to develop a new language and not be ashamed of it.
Yeah. Every man is looking for his father's approval.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how old you go. I do a lot of work in the prisons. The guy with the tattoos, the so-called guy that is in the solitary confinement, has been there for I don't know how many years. When you talk about his father, he sobs like a baby.
Really?
Yeah. Every man wants his father's approval. The minute a man puts a hand on another man, straight away, something in you says, you know what, we need to learn to honor each other. We just don't honor each other. And we don't honor each other if we don't do it violently. We don't honor each other by telling lies. Because I'm not friends with men that have no weaknesses because I feel judged. Some men are just too perfect for me. And when I'm in his presence, I'm not comfortable. I'll move out. I need people that struggle like me because I'm a human being.
Yeah.
And as human beings, we have struggles. They might be different, but we all have struggles. And if Jack is going to be my friend, I need to call you and tell you I'm not feeling well. And I need you to hear me out.
Yeah.
And I need you to be such a good friend to me to a point where you know what my weaknesses are. You protect me. If I go to places where you know I'm going to misbehave, you take me out because you know that's my devil.
Do we spend enough time in introspection?
No.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go there.
Is it a scary place?
Yeah. Nobody wants to go there. There's too many devils. It's easier to distract ourselves with social media and scrolling. That's why it's very hard to find most people sitting alone without a phone. Yeah, we have to learn times when you put your phone off and you just sit in silence. I wake up at 4 in the morning till 5:30 in the morning with my dogs in the park.
Yeah.
That's my time, just with nature and listening to myself. And most times it's scary what you're thinking because it's hard to control your mind.
Yeah.
It keeps on going to places you don't want to go.
It can be a terrifying place, but I think part of our journey in life is to confront the demons within. And I'm quite sure that with the program Athlete of Life, that's exactly what you're going to train people to do. Big Steve, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for going on this journey with us, talking about achieving your full strength, fitness, and human potential. This is Reality Radio. My name is Jack Devnarain. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.